Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to Aranjin Resource's live summit today, hosted by Six. I'm pleased to introduce the CEO, Ali Haji, who is joining us live from Mongolia to provide us a company update on the key milestones coming up. So after Ali's presentation, we will be accepting questions. So as a reminder, you can submit your questions at any time using the Q&A panel on the right-hand side of the screen, and we'll try to get to them afterwards. And as always, the summit is being recorded and available to watch afterwards on six.com. But I'll pass it off to you, Ali, to kick it off.
Thank you, Dasha. Thank you for that introduction, and always a pleasure to be here. And like you mentioned, coming at you live from Mongolia. That is significant for multiple reasons. One, given the fact that we've suffered a global pandemic, a lot of travel was restricted to Mongolia, and travel has since opened up as a result of this year. And so we're out here meeting with our technical team, reviewing historical exploration results, as well as planning for the year and beyond as to what we planned on getting accomplished here in country. So we've spent a fair bit of time sitting down with our technical team, better understanding our assets, both Charga and Bayonundur, looking at where we might be able to find prospective areas to drill further. And in doing so, we've been able to identify a program that includes 12,000 meters of drilling at Charga. And for those of you that are new to the story, Charga is an asset that we drilled 2,221 meters last year. And some of the key intercepts there were 15.4 meters at 1% copper and just about a gram per ton gold. So quite exciting, given it is a new asset with very little drilling done on it. The intent there is to have 12,000 meters drilled on that asset before September, and we will put out those results as they're available to us. The other asset that we have is Bayonundur. Bayonundur is an asset that's had 57,000 meters worth of drilling. So a fair bit of work has been done there. Some of the high grades there include, up to 7.4% copper and about 37 grams of silver with an intercept of 126 meters. So a very significant asset. Being in Mongolia and sort of seeing that Rio Tinto has doubled down on their investment in Oyu Tolgoi, Mongolia is ranked number 12 for copper and gold deposits. And we just so happen to have two fantastic assets that we're looking to explore and de-risk further. So it's exciting to get back here. It's exciting to sit with the technical team and review the historical drilling as well as the future drilling programs. But more importantly, it's fantastic to be able to connect with the Mongolian people again and our team in country who have done an excellent job of not only ensuring that they're maintaining safety through the pandemic, but also helping advance our assets in our absence. So we're extremely happy to be here. We're excited with what's to come, and we're really looking forward to the rest of the year now that the pandemic restrictions as far as travel have been lifted. So, Dasha, I'll leave it to you to ask any questions that come in from the audience.
Yep, absolutely. Thank you so much. So if you do have a question, feel free to submit them. I have a few for you, though, Ali. It's really exciting to hear about Aranjin's program from the ground up, but can you tell us a bit more about the copper potential at Charga and how often we can expect updates from these current efforts this spring?
Yeah, great question. The copper potential at Charga is pretty significant, given the fact that a very small drilling program had yielded a significant grade of copper at above 1%. That tells us that this is a system that is a VMS-style deposit. It has a significant amount of potential. You're seeing the trends on or near surface where you can visually identify sort of the layers in which we expect to find high mineralization. So really excited from that perspective, and that's what prompted us to design that 12,000 meter program. So the 12,000 meter program will be reverse circulation drilling across the asset. Some of the holes are planned to be about 800 to 900 meters deep, but 12,000 meters worth of drilling is significant as a junior miner, and we expect to kick off that program at the end of May, early June, with it being completed in and around September. So results will continue to come out as they get assayed. We're not going to wait around until we've completed the drilling. We will ensure that we have sufficient news flow to market, and I think you'll start to see some of that come out here quite shortly.
Great, thank you. You mentioned that the site is in an infrastructure-rich region. Are there immediate benefits to the program because of that? Yes, I mean,
Rio Tinto's built a fair bit of infrastructure in country. And if you would have followed any lithium stories here in Mongolia, or I beg your pardon, copper stories here in Mongolia, you would note that Zijin has recently invested in Xanadu Mining, which is an Australian company that operates here. And Rio Tinto has built the necessary infrastructure for the concentrates to be shipped to China for further refinement. So the infrastructure at Bayan Under is fantastic. We have a lot of potential railway or road access to be able to ship out concentrate when we're ready to do so. And at Charga, the border crossing is not too far either. So the asset is only 10 kilometers from the major highway that leads to the western part of the country, and ultimately would help feed the consumption of copper over in China.
Thank you. Richard has a question here. He's asking, what is the timeline for the uplisting your shares in the USA to at least the OTCQB or QX?
So as a company, I think, we've been relatively quiet, relatively silent. There hasn't been a face to the company. We recognize that on the back of the capital spent on Bayan Under, which is in excess of $12 million US, having drilled 57,000 meters, I'm sure you can appreciate that that's significant. And with Charga, some of the grades there would prompt essentially a higher valuation. And so our goal today is to continue to market the company, close some of that valuation gap, and then ultimately have a capital raise that will help fund these exploration programs over the next year or so. And at that point, we would consider an OTCQB listing.
All right, thank you. How is Mongolia's current investment environment in a post-pandemic era? Well,
Mongolia has been the interest of many for a number of years in terms of Ivanhoe, Robert Friedland, Oyu Tolgoi. These are major mines with major investments. And the fact that Rio Tinto has now opted to essentially put $7.5 billion back into the Mongolian economy. We've seen the Chinese come in with Zijin. That tells you that this is a country that's open for business. Having met with a number of folks here, including some high-level ministerial and government officials, I can tell you that the appetite and the sentiment in country is such that the country is open for business. We've had nothing but support from the Mongolian people. We're thankful of it, and we believe this to be a great jurisdiction to do business in.
Great. And Ali, in closing, what can investors expect as the next major milestones?
The next major milestone, as I said, is the kicking off of the exploration program. So having the opportunity to drill an additional 12,000 meters at Charga, beyond the 2,221 meters that we drilled last year, as well as the deep hole at Bayan Under, which is planned for about 700 meters to give us a cross-section of all the drilling that was done historically. So you start to see a fair bit of news from us as a company. Obviously, that capital raise that I mentioned earlier will be taking place, so stay tuned for that. But lots of action coming out of Aranjin here in Mongolia. So thank you very much for joining us. And as always, feel free to get in touch. Send me an email directly if you prefer, or pick up the phone and give me a ring. I'm one of those rare breeds that answers my call, irrespective of time zones or number seen on my device.
Perfect. Thank you so much for joining us from Mongolia and taking the time. And thank you everyone else who joined us, and have a great rest of your day.
Thank you, Dasha.